Okay, Vikings, the 2025 schedule is out. We know the dates, we know the deets, and I fucking hate it. I absolutely hate the schedule. That's my first biggest takeaway. I hate the schedule. Obviously, we always know, you know, who we're playing and where in general. I mean, except for the international games, a lot of those don't get announced until right around now. But so we knew who we were playing. We knew if they were home or road. We just didn't know the order and how things work out. I don't like anything in the schedule. Um, I wrote it down here. Maybe I'll just go week by week. So we open up week one. Uh, we are playing at the Bears on Monday Night Football because apparently it is in the Constitution that the Vikings and Bears have to play a primetime football game every single season. Um, and usually these are in Chicago. We did get them here last year for a prime timer, but you know I know we're winning games at Soldier Field now. We've won like 5 in a row or whatever, but those games they're never fun. Then we come back home opener week 2, hosting the Atlanta Falcons, and that's a Sunday night football game. So um, you know this won't be a Kirk reunion. He might not even be on the team by then. There still might be something happening there. Who knows? But it'll be you know obviously we got Atlanta here last year. That was the big Kirk reunion game. We won. This time it would be Penix. Then week 3, home again against the Bengals. There will be much hype around the Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase of it all. There will be much hype about Joe Burrow of it all. First time either of those guys are playing here, so that'll be um, hard to say. The Bengals, one of the best offenses, but defense, um, but certainly not an easy game. And then of course, as has been talked about for days, because these came out earlier in the week. Weeks 4 and 5, the Vikings have to play back-to-back games in Europe. They have to play week 4. They're playing in Ireland, in Dublin. They're playing in Dublin against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and who knows, maybe Aaron Rodgers. We'll see. And then the very next week, they're playing in London against the Browns. Pretty sure no team has ever done this before, or has been forced to do this because they're forced to by the league, to play two straight Europe games. I've heard the argument that hey, they'll be able to acclimate and acclimate better by that second game and stuff, and they'll be fine. Come on, it's a horrible disadvantage to be, not just on the road. Usually, like, you go to the road game, you play the game, you come back home, and then a few days later, whatever, you go back out for this again. They're not gonna go to this game in Dublin and then fly back to the United States and then a couple days later fly back to London. They're gonna be out there for 2 weeks. That's I don't see that. I don't see that whole situation as any sort of advantage for the Vikings. I really don't. The only advantage is that the two teams they're playing could both be pretty bad. The Steelers, I mean, Tomlin Devil Magic gets them to 500 every year at least, but I don't know if that's going to happen again. And obviously Cleveland could be one of the worst teams in football again. The Vikings are undefeated all time in Europe, so there is that, and they've beaten both of these teams out there. They beat they beat Pittsburgh. They beat them in what was that, 2013? That was the Matt Castle game where he took over as quarterback, and then in the 2017 season, the great 2017 season, they went out and beat the Browns with Case Keenum. So I mean, I would think those games could both be wins, but I would think those games could be wins playing them in the United States. And of course, the other downside of this is it forces you into the early bye. So they're going to have a week 6 bye. I don't like the early bye at all. I think for the most part, players don't. I don't know why. I mean, I assume whenever this inevitably happens, if they go to 18 games, that they're going to have two buys. I don't know why they can't just do two buys now, but um, I think it's a pretty big disadvantage to have the early bye. Come back off the bye, they're home to the Eagles, which will be obviously a very tough game. The Eagles will be defending Super Bowl champions. You know, we generally play them pretty good, except for that one time that we don't talk about. Um, but that'll be a tough game. But then here's another disadvantage. Then we got a short week into a road Thursday night game against the Chargers, who should be pretty damn good. I mean, the Chargers are, be year 2 for Harbaugh. I think the Chargers are going to probably be a popular pick to go really far. That's a huge disadvantage. And coming off a really tough game, what's going to probably be a really tough game against the Eagles, then you got to go short week, all the way over the West Coast, to play another good team. Like that's a big disadvantage. Then they get a little extra time off for the next game, which is a road game at the Lions. I'm glad that the rumor, the leak, or whatever, earlier today and stuff was that they were going to end up playing a Thanksgiving game, which I'm so sick of playing on Thanksgiving. That would have been 4 times in a decade. So thankfully that didn't work out. We're playing Detroit. I think that's early November at that point. I mean, look, Detroit's kicked our ass a lot. It was a very humbling game that we played at the end of last season. Whatever we're going to do, we got to go beat them. We got to go take it from them. So hope that by mid-season, we're going to kind of know what's going on with this team. So, but that's going to be a tough one. And then after that, they come home for another really tough one because we got to host the Ravens. I mean, that's about as tough of a 4-week stretch right there as probably any team in the league has got this year. Home Eagles, at Chargers short week, at Lions, home to Ravens. That's going to be a very, very tough 4-game stretch. I mean, I think if you come out of that with 2 wins, I think throw a parade. But that'll be tough. Then it gets it softens up a little bit after that. I think at that point we're into like late November. We host the Bears. I mean, I'm not totally dismissing the Bears. They'll probably be okay this year. They've obviously made a lot of additions, but hopefully, we can still stomp them out a little bit. And then we got a back-to-back road situation again. We go at Green Bay. Fuck the Packers. Hopefully we can kick their ass in Lambeau again, like last year, like we did for a half. And then at Seattle, because of course it's the law that we have to play at Seattle every year. It's in the Constitution, just like the Chicago primetime game stuff. And then we come home. After that. We play Washington. Another tough game. It's a good thing that a lot of these games are at home. Like if we handle our business at home this year, we're gonna be doing pretty good because we've got a very tough home schedule. So we need the Purple Palace to be loud and imposing. But I mean, Washington, the big surprise team of last year, made it to the NFC Championship game. Certainly think they're going to be good again. Jane Daniels coming in here. It's going to be tough. Then we get going at Dallas. After that, of course, it's a Sunday Night Football game because America demands that the Cowboys be in primetime. I didn't look to see. I'm assuming the Cowboys have about 15 primetime games again this year. But Dallas, they might be okay, but I don't think that's a scary game. And then at the Giants after that, even that I don't like that we've got counting the European games, we got 4 multiple road trips. It's like, God, they're just screwing us, man. But at the Giants, I mean, we won there easily to start last season. I think what, Russell Wilson's there now, so that's obviously late in the year, but so who knows? The Giants might be playing out the string at that point, and then come back and we're hosting the Detroit Lions on Christmas Day at like 4 in the afternoon. Who does this to people? It's like the talk about something that's going to screw with people's schedules and stuff. And that's like a Thursday, so it's not like you had to do it. Which means, of course, it's another short week, leading into a tough game. 2 times we have to do that. The schedule makers did us no favors this year, and of course we won 14 games last year, so we were going to get a little more of the high-profile scheduling this year. That was inevitable, but I hate what they've done to us with this thing. And then we finish up hosting the Packers. We haven't finished the season hosting Green Bay since way back in 2012, the big Ponder game, the Adrian Chase in 2,000 yards game, which I was at. And that was one of the best Vikings games I've ever been to in my life. That's one of the few areas where I like the schedule is, if you get to that week 17 and you're in position to do something, you got Lions, Packers at home. You can handle your business at home. But I mean, you look at that home schedule, and we knew this before. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of your 8 home games are against playoff teams from last year, and not just even fringe playoff teams, like really good playoff teams. And then you got Bengals, who could be good, certainly good, Falcons, who could be good, and Bears, who could even be sneaky. So we don't really have the gimme. We got a couple of theoretically gimme road games, but it's a tough schedule, man. I don't like anything about it. I don't like the multiple games in Europe back to back. I don't like the early bye. I don't like the short weeks into these games. I don't like, I don't like the multiple game road trips. I mean, only couple things I like. I like to at least get those 2 home games, division home games at the end. I like that you don't have to probably worry too much about the weather for most of these games. Like obviously the Bear game, it's week 1. Soldier Field isn't going to be quite a pigsty yet. Green Bay road game is a little further into the fall. Maybe there's something there. At Giants could be a little bit. At Seattle could be something. But in general, there's not a whole lot to worry about with that. And then, as every Vikings talker has to be right now, it comes back to J.J. McCarthy. If J.J. McCarthy hits the ground running and can play right away and play at a reasonably high level right away, I think you're good. I think you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to, at minimum, I think, be very much in the mix for a playoff spot. We'll see. I mean, last year it took 15 wins to win the division. If it takes 15 wins to win the division, I don't think you're getting there. If it takes 12 wins to win the division, maybe. But if he struggles early, and it's not just on him, but this is a very packed roster, and I think it's a much more complete roster than they were last year when they won 14 games. If he's not good early, and maybe you kick away a couple of those early games, it could be a long season, because I think you get that week 6 bye, but you got I think what was it? I think all those games are against teams that did make the playoffs, or did Pittsburgh make the playoffs? Maybe Pittsburgh made the playoffs. Last season feels like it was 10 years ago already. But that's probably the softest part of your schedule in terms of the opponents. Is those first 5 games. I don't like some of the circumstances of the games, but I think if you come out of that first 5 anything worse than 3-2, it's over. I really don't think you have much of a chance, because again, I think that in that brutal stretch with the Eagles and Lions and Chargers and Ravens, like I hope you get 2-2 in that, and then it softens up a little bit, and I don't think we're winning 14 games. I mean, I think that's foolish. Although I thought they were going to win 7 last year, so who knows what they're going to do. But yeah, I don't see them winning 14 games. I mean, I think the schedule is tough, and of course things change. Some of these teams might not be as good as we think they're going to be, and maybe a couple of the teams are going to be better than we think they're going to be. Um, Although I think just about every team on their schedule is going to at least be in the mix for the playoffs. I think other than like the Giants and Cleveland and you know maybe Pittsburgh. I don't know. And of course, yeah, the Sam Darnold game at Seattle. That'll be the Sam Darnold reunion game, assuming he's still the guy at that point. Yeah, I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, make the record prediction." Like, I think if JJ McCarthy can be reasonably good right away, and I don't know what the comparison would be. I was thinking like early Jalen Hurts, something like that. You know, if he can be that level right away, yeah, I think 11, maybe 12 wins is realistic. Um, and that certainly puts you in the wild card mix, very much in the wild card mix, and maybe the division. Who knows? I mean, Detroit's not winning 15 games. I know we're not winning 14 games. I don't think Detroit's winning 15 games. So I think Detroit's coming back a little bit. We might come back a little bit. Green Bay is what they are. Um, Chicago, maybe they'll come up a little bit. I think it's going to be a little more packed division. Um, NFC, I think, is wide open. If it's a lot to ask, because JJ McCarthy has not taken a snap in a meaningful NFL game yet, and I wasn't too gung ho about him to begin with, as far as some of those QB prospects last year. I trust KOC to get the best out of him. Um, and if he gets something in the neighborhood of what he got out of Darnold, but maybe with more upside long term, yeah, I think this team can absolutely compete for a Super Bowl with a better overall roster. But the schedule makers did us no favors whatsoever. Maybe they hate us. Maybe they're worried that we're going to be good, and they wanted to screw us with a really crappy schedule. Because I've never when this with I don't know how many years now they've been doing these schedule releases as like an event. I've never responded to seeing a schedule like this before, where I just hate it. I just hate so much of this schedule. There's only a couple little parts of it that I think are advantageous for us. But think of how great it'll feel if we overcome that and still have a really good season. So I've talked too long about a schedule. So I'll say my record prediction, because I'm cautiously optimistic about McCarthy. So I'm going to say like 11-6, something like that. That might not win you the division, but it should get you in the playoffs.